So in this video, we're going to talk about the 3 editing choices that make your video feel more cinematic and not just look good. So without further ado, let's just dive into it. So the first thing I wanted to show you is actually the depth in the frame. When you film your video, you have to pay attention to how you put your objects in the frame. For example, this clip has 3 layers which create depth. The first layer is the foreground, which is the chair here, and you can see that this chair is not in the focus, which creates some depth because we can see something behind the chair. And this something is me, the object, and the other chair, which is in the middle of the screen. I mean the middle layer, so 3 layers, 1, 2, 3. You have the middle layer, and this is the chair and me. And this is the layer where you focus your video on. And this is the main layer, I would say. This is where the viewer pays attention to. And the third layer is the background, which is also not in focus. In this case, this is the trees, the fence, and everything. You can see it's not in the focus. It's colorful. It's green. We have some light, natural light behind my head, which separates the object from the background. And this is very important because if your object looks flat with the background, hey, let me provide you some example. I'll maybe search for it. Let's take this as an example. All right, I'm not saying that my background right now is just perfect, because this is a different type of video that I'm shooting right now. This is more like a breakdown video. In this case, for example, we have a girl. Well, her face and her hair looks, the color of the hair, even for example here, it's a bit similar to the color of the background, right? And in terms of cinematography, would be good if you could differentiate the object from the background. So if we're talking about me, for example, ideally you will have the light somewhere coming from the back or from the side in order for me to have here like a line with the light. Okay, for example here, my background is a little bit darker than the object in the middle. And I used only one light here, which is natural light. There is a lot of space for improvement. I could use, for example, in the background, some different light, for example, here or here, different colors or some warmth. But I decided to not to, and maybe I didn't have the knowledge to do that at that point. At the end of the day, the look is still good. We can differentiate even the ear, for example, from the background. You see the border. Okay, for example, here you have the light from the sun, which is showing the borders of the head, and you can differentiate the background from my head. So you can use different colors, different backgrounds, make it more interesting and differentiate it. So this way you create depth in the frame. So the next thing is movement with purpose. In cinematic editing, camera movement isn't just a choice. Every tilt, every move, every zoom should make sense and should serve the story. So you should always ask yourself these 2 questions. Why is the camera moving right now? And what does it make the viewer feel? There are different kinds of movements. For example, static shots, fast movement, handheld, push-ins, push-outs. Every move you do, it packages your video in a different way. If you, for example, make a lot of movements or do it like a handheld, you create a little bit more dynamic video. For example, if you saw people making sports videos like boxing or running, I don't know, you feel the dynamic movements because likely they're filming handheld or with a gimbal, but still like there is a lot of movement. And if you see like a nature scene or just a person doing something, I don't know, calm, it's more likely the calm scene because the shot is static or the movement is very, very slow. The problem with filming yourself is you usually don't have a person to film you, obviously, and most of your shots are static. So you have to like come up with some different ideas. And I'll just show you an example of movement in shots. Let's say this shot.
Stay away from me.
Okay, this shot. You can see the camera movement, which follows me, and you feel the video is more dynamic.
So after
because I asked my friend to help me to film this, And for example, I tried to like make a lot of movements. For
More
example,
focused.
here, even though the camera is mounted by a small rig to the notebook, you see a lot of movement here. The camera actually moves a lot, so it creates this feeling of like you actually grab the notebook and take it by yourself. So why is the camera moving, and what do you want your viewer to feel in this moment? So this is how you build visual storytelling. This is very important because every move has to mean something. So, and the last thing, but last but not least, actually, I would say one of the most important things out of these three editing choices is sound design. And I will just show you quickly how you can make the sound design, I mean the framework which I use to create sound design. So basically, you can have the best shots, the best voiceover, visual storytelling, but if the sounds do not follow your video, you're likely to have low engagement. What I mean by that is, so when people watch your video, they watch it with your eyes and they listen with their ears. So listening is a very important part, and a lot of people forget about sound design. And just by adding this sound, you can improve your video a lot more. People will like it a lot more just because of sound design. And a lot of people, they don't understand that you use like a little just wind sound or people talking. Like, I mean that if you ask somebody, do you think my sound design is good? If this person doesn't know anything about filmmaking, they will likely not understand what you're talking about because, well, I've experienced this. I asked my friends, like, did you notice that little whoosh that I added? I don't know, like, well, of course they didn't. Of course they didn't notice this because you just subconsciously consume this sound and you subconsciously like it, but you don't understand why you like it. Well, you understand partially, but that's because of that sound. You might like it more. So even though people don't notice your hard work with the sound design, they like it overly, subconsciously, the sound design, but they don't understand, like, they're not conscious about the sound designs. So I create a bunch of tracks, stereo, depends how you recorded the video. And you have here, sorry, not the video, but the sound. And you have here, for example, this is voiceover. Well, that doesn't matter, don't look here. Then it can be music, for example. And here comes the rule of 3 A's, which is ambience, accents, and actions. So ambience, accents, and a track, stereo, actions. What does it mean? Ambience is what is going around you. So for example, you see the shot with some nature, let's say, and you can hear some birds, you can hear some water, some wind, leaves, etc., etc. So basically you just add it to your sound design. This is what is going on around you. If you're in the city, you can hear the cars, I don't know, police, people, so you just add these sounds and this is your ambience. If you're in your room, the ambience can be like the room tone. There are such sounds in like, for example, Epidemic Sound. This is not a sponsor. You can use anything. There are a bunch of different sounds. For example, if you're in a room, you can use room tone or something else. Anyway, this is the ambience. The second thing is accents. Accents, it's like whooshes, risers. So when you want to create some tension to the video, some subtle sounds that you don't notice, and these are accents. And the actions is the actions that are going on in your video. For example, if you film a car and you can hear the sound of car driving, you can add this to actions. Or for example, if you're typing the keyboard, this is action sound. Or for example, if you're rope jumping, this is also action. So, but it depends. If it's in your main focus, I mean that if your object is actually rope jumping, it can be the action sound. But if somebody else is just rope jumping somewhere, like, I don't know, or you can hear the car from like 500 meters away, you can just add it as an ambience. because this is not your main story in the video. But it depends. Like, there's no right or wrong. Just everybody has their own experience with that, and you can actually split it however you like. That's how I like to split. You can name it as something different. And one last important thing is how to check if your video has actually a good sound design. It's a tricky part, but try to remove the music. So you just do like that. You play in DaVinci Resolve, you just hit D and it just gets mute, or you can do the whole thing, mute the whole thing. You can then hear only these lines of these tracks of sound. And if your video sounds good without music, that means that your sound design is good. If not, then there is room for improvement. Well, there is always room for improvement, but still. So these were the 3 choices that will likely make your video feel more cinematic. If you want to expand more on this topic, and if you're interested in cinematic editing, join my Telegram channel. The link is in the description. I post there a lot of cool things about editing, more in depth, and you can also find something valuable for yourself. So thank you guys for watching. See you later.